guys, and welcome to Knit Grit. In today's video we're going to go over how to make the base body for how to do the little laying flat amigurumi. This is a very simple pattern. All you do essentially is make two front legs, attach them, and then split them off again into your back legs. You're also going to be making this basic amigurumi head, which is based off of the basic amigurumi ball design that I already have on my channel. That's all linked down below. I put some eyes on them, and that's really all there is to it. I think I'm going to turn this specific little flat buddy into a bunny, and I'm going to show you how to do make this and also the little base Luna body into bunnies. It's the same thing. I'm just going to show how to do the ears and how to do the tail, and this is just a base pattern that I'm going to do all my evolutions with and some other cute little animals that this will be a really good base for. This is not a beginner project. You're going to need to be comfortable with working in the round and single crocheting, as well as increasing and decreasing when the time comes. So if you're not comfortable with those, I've got links down below on my basics on how to get comfortable with those. So without further ado, let's get started. So for this project, you will need some worsted weight yarn. Today I am using Red Heart Soft in this off-white color. I'm also using some fluff, whatever you think would be good for both the head and the body. I usually use about, I'd say, 1/4 pound. It's not too much. If you get a pound bag, that'll definitely be enough to finish one of these projects. You're going to need a darning needle, and you're also going to need a size 3.25 or a D3, US D3 crochet hook. I'm using a Susan Bates. I really like how their hooks are made. I'm a Susan Bates kind of gal, so that's what you're going to need. You can use any kind of crochet hook just as long as it is a D3 or a 3.25 millimeter. You can go smaller, you can go bigger. This is just what I use for my amigurumi. And for this project, you're going to need to know how to work in the round, how to single crochet, and how to do increasing and decreasing. I'll show you how I do mine, but generally you're going to want to be comfortable with those when you're doing this project. Tip with my amigurumi stitches, I go through the front loop only. So to give you an idea, instead of what most people do, which is to go through both loops like so, I go through just the front stitch. I find that that makes my amigurumi look a little bit more bubbly. Alright, let's get started. The very start of this pattern is the basic Luna head. I have a pattern and a video tutorial on how to do this linked down below. I'm going to post the pattern for this head generally right here if you're lazy and you just want to screenshot it. So you know, and there's also going to be a written PDF on how to do this on Ravelry, so stay tuned for that. To start, you're going to make your head. I just use some basic Luna eyes. I might turn this into a bunny afterwards, but I'll see how that tutorial goes. You're also going to want to create 2 of these legs. So this leg is a basic template of what we're going to create a second one of, because we're going to essentially single crochet 2 legs together to create the body, and then split off the legs again to create, these are the front paws, and then we're going to create the little back paws, back legs, front legs, and you know, that. So we're going to essentially create a secondary one of these. We are going to do a slip knot. You're going to want to be comfortable with making a slip knot, single crocheting, working in the round, and increasing, decreasing. I've got tutorials on how to do all of these linked down below, but this is a fairly simplistic amigurumi pattern. I'm just showing how to do the general design on how to make this body. So we're going to create a slip knot. Let me know if you guys like it better when my hands are in the center like this instead of up to the top or up to the right. We're going to create our slip knot. We're going to create what I do as a magical ring. We're going to chain 1 and 2. 1, 2. We're going to skip the first chain closest to our hook, and we're going to go back into the very beginning chain. So this very first chain, we're skipping the second chain we created and going back into the very first chain we made, and we're going to place 5 single crochet inside. So 1, 2, you'll notice that your hole is getting bigger every time you put a stitch in. That's okay. 3, 4, and 5. pull your tail, that's what's going to close up that hole. And we're going to increase every single one of these stitches going into the round. So the way that I go about doing that is I'm going to go back into the very first single crochet that we made right there, and we're going to place 2 single crochet inside that 1 stitch. So 1 and 2. Try not splitting your yarn. I did a little bit, but it's fine, it looks okay. Go back into the second one now. Second single crochet you made from the first round. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, increase into the third. And increase the fourth. And finally on the last one, increase again. So this is technically our second round. Our first round was just putting those 5 single crochet inside of our hoop. This is our second round, and we are now going into our third round. We're going to single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, increase the entire way around. So 1, next stitch, increase, so 1 and second one right inside that same stitch, 1, put 2 inside that next stitch, so 3, put 1 inside that next stitch, pull your yarn out a little bit more, there you go, 4, and increase. We're doing 5 increases because we are increasing 5 stitches every single round, and 5, excuse me, increase. I'm used to doing this in 6 increments, but I do it in 5 for this one because I like how that looks. I'm going to take my tail and I'm going to pull that through this loop right in here just to keep track of my rows. And now I'm going to single crochet around for 6 rounds. Once our work looks like this, I will come back and I'll show you how I attach the 2 and how I single crochet around that to make the body. Be right back. Okay, so now that I've gone and created 2, I slip stitched off on the first leg just to keep it so that it's over here. I'm going to move my fluff. There we go. And now I've created my second leg. I'm going to keep that one live, so I'm not going to slip stitch that one off. There we go. So I'm not going to slip stitch this one off. I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'm going to go into where I slip stitched. I like to go above and I like to go right underneath it. So I've got like 2 little loops here. You don't have to do this, but I find that this makes it look a little bit more seamless. And I'm going to just do a quick little single crochet. I like to keep the tail underneath my stitches and crochet with my tail. Oh, I split my yarn. There we go. And crochet with my tail as a part of the piece. I do that until I've reached the corner here, and then I like that just being my stitch marker because that's where my stitches start, like my rows start. So I'm going to go and single crochet around all of the 15 stitches here. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I flatten it out a little bit. I see if that's my corner. That's my corner. So I'm going to leave my tail over here. I've done enough of that now. 1, 2, well, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I like to then go into, this is what I do to keep it so that there's not a hole in the center of my work. I go into and I decrease these 2 stitches into 1 stitch. So I take this stitch and I take this stitch. I go into both of my closest stitches along where I joined and I pull through both of them, and then I just single crochet like normal. So it's kind of like decreasing, but it's on the backs of the stitches. So you'll see that the join there's no hole. Otherwise there can be holes, which I leave, I'll show you. Right now this looks bigger than this one because I need to go around the other side now. I leave a tail towards my, at the end, so that I can sew things in. I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm just going to single crochet around until I get to this starting stitch here. So, single crochet until I get back to the center, and then I kind of do the same thing. I'm just going to go across because it's easier at this point now. If that made any sense, it might not have. There we go. I don't have to do anything on this join because there's nothing to go over. It's just a normal bridge. And after this counts as your first row. We are going to single crochet around for 12 rounds completely. So this is round 1. We're going to go into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I'll show you how I split my legs back apart and create the back legs for this piece here. So now this is my first round. I'm going to take my tail. Actually, I shouldn't have left it on the outside. I should have put it on the inside. Oops. Let me bring that back. Ah, no, don't do that, buddy. So now my tail is back on the inside. I'm going to pull that so that it is through this stitch instead, and this is going to count as my second round. You can move your tail every time, or you can just kind of keep track of it based off where your tail is. So that's how I sew. So that's how I single crochet these two legs together. I'm also going to take my tail from earlier. I'm going to pull that through my work. Not split my yarn, or just do. It doesn't matter. I'm going to take it and then just let it be on the inside of this leg. You can stuff as you go. I might take some stuffing and just start going in and evenly stuff as I go around for the legs. It might be easier for you to stuff the legs now versus after you've gone around a bunch. It's up to you, if whatever you find easiest. I'll be right back after I've gone around for 12 rounds. Be right back. Alright, so now that I have finished doing my 12 rounds around, I stuffed quite a bit because I find that it's easier to stuff on the inside before I do my decreasing rounds for the legs, before I split my legs, just because it's just harder to stuff the further along in your legs that you get. So the way that I do my legs is basically the exact inverse of how I did my 4 front paws here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet across up to the 7th stitch here, and because these are 15 stitches around, I'll show you how I kind of split it. It's not an exact science, so I mean, it's not an exact pattern, essentially. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, it is an exact pattern, it's just not exactly a even. It looks even when you do it, is all that I gotta say about that. So now that you've done 7, I'm going to pull my tail out and kind of let it just relax for a second. I'm going to count back here 15 stitches, and then I'm going to kind of put my hook in there, if that makes sense. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to place my hook inside that 15th stitch here. I'm going to kind of turn my work around, put my very long, pull my loop, that's my active loop, over and onto the hook, like so, and I'm going to pull that yarn through and kind of give it a slip stitch. I'm then going to go back inside that same exact stitch, and I'm going to single crochet. Now I've got 15 stitches around, and I'm going to treat that like I'm in the round as well. So I've got 15 stitches here, and I'm going to just single crochet around for 7 rounds versus the 6 from up here. There's a reason. I'm going to go around 7 rounds until I get to my decreasing rounds. And I essentially do the exact same thing by picking up stitches on this side, but I'll show you how I go about doing that once I finish off this other leg. So first I'm going to go around 7 times, and then I'm going to show you how I do my decreasing rounds, which is just the inverse of what I did to increase. So I'm also going to put the pattern right here in case you're impatient and want to just get done with this and you're that far along. So single crochet around for 7 rounds, and I'll be right back and show you how I decrease the leg. Be right back. Alright, so I've gone around 7 times, and you'll notice that even though I went around an extra round, it's the same length as over here. I don't know why that does that, but it does, so I'm just going to go with it. Alright, we are back at our beginning right here. Alright, so now we are going to do the inverse of how we increased over here, and we're going to do decreasing for our foot. So the way that we do that is over here on our last increasing round, we single crocheted 1 increased, so we're going to single crochet 1 decrease, and then we're going to single crochet, we're going to just decrease on the next round, and then we'll be at 6 stitches, and then I just sew on all my ends right there. I'll show you how that actually looks. I just knew that going around for 6 rounds times 15 would have been tedious, and most people don't actually care to see that. So I'm going to single crochet 1, and the way that I decrease is I'm going to go through the first loop here, I'm going to go through the second loop, and then I'm going to single crochet 1 through both of those. It is a nice invisible decrease, and you can't see it once you go around again. So single crochet 1, so you can't even tell where the decrease was. Go through the first loop, go through the second loop, and then single crochet like normal. Single crochet 1. It gets really awkward and gummy with the body the way that it is. Go through the loop, go to the second loop, and decrease by putting both of those together. So there we go, single crochet 1 again. Go through 1, through 2, and then single crochet 1 and single crochet 1 and 2. So now we went from 15 stitches down to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 stitches there, and the way that I finish this off is I'm going to single crochet 2 together for the entire way around. We're going to go from 10 down to 5. And I said 6 earlier, I meant to say 5. So we're going to just go through both and decrease, go through both, decrease. I'm trying not to split my yarn the entire time around. Go through both again, decrease, through both again, eek, like so. Try to keep that centered. Decrease, and go through both, decrease. I'm now going to take my tail, I'm going to leave about 6 inches, and I'm going to cut. Tell me these are not the cutest scissors you've ever seen in your life. I'm going to be doing a giveaway that actually has a pair of these in it. I don't know, these or just the really pretty greenish purpley tone. I don't know what this tone's called, but I love it. It's really pretty. I don't know, let me know what you guys think down below, whether or not you think this is too much and you'd rather just a normal pair of scissors in the giveaway, or whether or not unicorn scissors is totally the way to go. I just reached 20,000 subscribers, which is so exciting. I'm so excited. I'm pumped. So I'm doing giveaway stuff, so stay tuned in the community tab and all that. I'm pretty active over there if you want to see more stuff with that. So I cut my tail. There we go. I went off on a tangent again. I tend to go on those. I'm going to pull my yarn like so. I'm going to take a darning needle. I'm going to thread my tail onto my darning needle. And the way that I finish off my end here, there's a giant hole. How do we fix that? I go through all 6 in all 5 of these loops by going through the the front into the back of the stitch. Pull 1, eek, 2. I tend to go through more I go through like the tops of the previous rounds too, just to like really close it up. 3, eek, if I can help it, there you go. It's hard getting this body on the screen. 4, actually, oops, I think I went through that twice, doesn't matter. And the last one, we're going to then take our tail and pull it nice and tight. Oop, there we go. And I'm going to leave that for now until I finish stuffing. I'm going to take my stuffing and I'm going to stuff after I've closed on that one. It just makes it a little bit easier to do that by just going up and in. Up and in. I changed my entire setting layout here for my desk and I'm pretty excited with how it turned out. I moved it from being in our living room into my bedroom, which is much more quiet, so I'm actually able to get a lot more work done while it's in here, and so I'm just pretty excited about that. And you can tell that you need to stuff it a lot more because it won't be the same size if you don't. I don't know, I try to make everything the same size and stuffing does that a lot. Stuffing and overstuffing and understuffing can drastically change how your work looks. I'm going to keep going around, and the way that I finish off my work is I'm going to take my tail, now that I've stuffed it just a little bit right there. It doesn't have to be perfect right this second, but stuffing as I go is definitely what I wind up doing a lot with this this specific amigurumi piece, is that I end up stuffing it a lot while I go, and it's frustrating because I don't want to have it so stuffed that I can't do anything with my stitches, but I don't want to have it so understuffed that I end up having to like panic towards the end and not have things as stuffed as they need to be. I'm going to take my darning needle and feed it through the center and into the side, and now I have a seamless little back paw. I love that technique so much. It makes it look a lot neater and it looks a lot nicer. And my cat just broke into the room and making noise. Oh. And now this is my marker that I had before, so I don't really need that anymore. I'm going to cut that right off with L Unicorn. And I keep stuffing. I kind of go along the sides a lot more. I try to keep it all the same shape, which is really, you're gonna have to do a lot of adjusting once this still looks smaller than the front, and I never get it to look exactly right until it's all stuffed. It's gonna look weird until it doesn't. And luckily the head tends to hide all manner of sins when it comes to the legs. So you don't see the front part there, you just see the front of the legs. And then you've got your little leg corner there. Alright, so what I do for this last part is I've got 15 more stitches that are just live and active right here. And what I wind up doing is I'm going to take my hook, I'm going to go underneath the very first single crochet stitch that I can see right here. I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to leave a nice little tail right here. I'm going to loop and pull it through, and then I'm going to, don't worry, you'll be able to pick up 15 stitches even if you just bypass that first one. Last time you went right back into the very first stitch that you did, I'm skipping it for right now. I'm going to leave that tail there because that tail will be there in case I need to sew up the center, in case I glitch out or whatever, which happens sometimes when you do amigurumi. That's the nice thing about crochet, is that it is so freeform that you can kind of make up for mistakes, whereas with knitting it's a lot less forgiving. Typically you're going to single crochet 1, 2, you're trying to try to get to 15, 3, it's hard at this angle, 4, 5, 6, eek, 7, 8, 9, come on, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 13, eek. It's hard to tell. 14. And it's really difficult. You're going to have a hard time with this, especially if you're a beginner, or beginner light. You know, you've done a couple amigurumi, but this is just a very frustrating. I hate this part of the, this is my least favorite part of the amigurumi. So we have 15 stitches on. We're going to then, what I like to do half the time is I like to go through this little center piece here, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to go directly into and try to keep your yarn as taut and tight as you can. See, that's what's going to happen. So don't worry. I'm going to go into that chain though, and I'm going to just single crochet into it. It's going to look like it's going to pull, but I'm just going to do it anyway because I'm going to pull my tail back and I'm going to sew that in, so it's not going to matter. Come on, just let me in, dude. There we go. And not split, please. That would be preferable. I have a hard time with this area. So if you do, that is also normal. Pull the tail, that'll tighten your stitch right back up. There we go. Take your hook and go back to the other side of the leg. And now we are going to go around for 6 more times because that was our first time around, and we do this for 7 rounds. Then I'll show you what I do after going around for 6 more times. Be right back. Alright, so I went around my 7 times, or 6 more times after I did the first one, and you'll notice that there is a large hole in the center. Sometimes I get this, sometimes I don't. It depends on how I do it. The way that I fix it is I take that long tail that we created earlier, and I go through one side over here, pull that, go over to this side, and kind of just crisscross it back together. I like to go underneath this part as well, and I'm going to just pull them all together, and you'll notice that it all cinches nice and tight together once you pull it tight. So I like to go through one more time, kind of go through the sides, and I'm going to leave that tail there for now just to make sure that when I stuff it doesn't do anything else, and if I need to pull it, I'll pull it and the like, but that should take care of that problem. I'm also going to stuff a little bit before I show you. I'm basically just doing the exact same thing on the end here. I'm just going to keep stuffing. I do my single crochet 1, decrease all the way around, and then I decrease and then I sew the exact same way that I did over here. It's just a matter of stuffing while you're also doing this all together, and that's pretty much all there is to this part of the body. Alright, I'll be right back once I finish off the end to finish up the video. Be right back. Alright, so I finished up and put the finishing touches on the last leg. I just did my decreasing rounds that I did on the other one. I finished by sewing in and hiding everything else. So that is our finished product. I'm going to take a hot glue gun. I know this sounds a little weird. You can sew this, but I'm going to take a hot glue gun and I'm going to put a small quarter-sized amount right here, and then I'm going to place it right here, and then I like to kind of squish it with something heavy and just leave it there for a while. So that makes it so that you can't see it on the sides. You can sew it if you're really bothered by something like that, but I find that with this angle it's hard to sew it, so I am just impatient and I hot glue mine. So that's pretty much what I'm going to go do. I just make a 1/4 dollop size, make sure that it lines up with right around here. Actually, excuse me, this is the front. So right around the front, wherever you initially did your increasing, that's your front paws. Or honestly, whichever one you think looks better is typically what I use as my front paws. They're pretty interchangeable. So I'm gonna go attach my head. I'm probably gonna leave it overnight, and then I'll be back and finish up my final thoughts. Be right back. Alright, so I hot glued the head on. It is now on its body. The downside to hot gluing it and not paying attention is sometimes it can be off-centered. It is slightly going to the left, but you know what? There's imperfection in everything that you make, so I'm just gonna go with it. So that's how you do the basic body. I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to doing all the evolutions based on this body shape, so stay tuned for that. I'm also going to be doing Kyo from Fruit Baskets with this same body shape, except he's orange and his head's here, and he does not have any safety eyes on because his eyes are going to be done with felt. So stay tuned for that. And I'm also going to be doing some more whale and shark versions of my mama and baby whale video, so stay tuned for all of that. We are locked down in quarantine, so I'm figuring I should probably do all these projects so that people actually have something to do if they're interested in doing that kind of thing. Alright, until next time guys, bye!